Hi, I'm Kitty Brown Decker. I'm known to most people as Kit Decker, but to you, my family, I'll always be Kitty. I'm the oldest of Ken's three children, and Ken was the oldest brother of Lois. I want to share with you today a couple of memories and a tribute to my Aunt Lois Jackson. I owe a very great debt of gratitude to my Aunt Lois, as she served as a surrogate mother, older sister, mentor, and guide during some of my most formative years. I will share a couple of memories with you, but do realize that they're a bit hazy, as they now date back 60 years. As the first in my family and one of the first in the extended Brown family to go to college, I arrived on the campus of the College of Idaho in early September 1962, a naive, almost 18-year-old. My family had not expected me to go to college, and it wasn't until my senior year that I decided I wanted to do so. I had the grades, test scores, but no money. But I applied to several colleges anyway, and when the College of Idaho provided me with a package of scholarships, loan, and work grant that would cover my tuition, room, and board, I landed in Caldwell, Idaho. Of course, the Treasure Valley area was not new to me, as our family vacations had consisted of visits to Nampa to see Grandma and Grandpa Brown and all the aunts, uncles, and cousins every several years. But it was my first time to be there on my own. Both Aunt Lois and Aunt Betty, who then lived in Caldwell, assured me of welcome in their homes, and Lois and Eldon ended up providing me a home away from home for the next 4 years of weekends, holidays, and summers. When I needed some at-home time, I would call Lois and she would come and get me, and I would spend the weekend or the school break working alongside her in the Jackson's drapery shop, where the coffee and the chatter flowed freely, and I learned many life lessons under her tutelage. Lois shared with me her skills of drapery making, and I learned that effort and expertise count when your pride and reputation count on providing the best product, well made, on time, even if it meant pulling some midnight hours, that a job wasn't just 9 to 5, and that satisfaction came from doing your very best. One of the first projects we tackled for my benefit was a curtain and valance for my dorm window. Made of a natural muslin fabric with 2 rows of pink fringe, it adorned dorm windows for 4 years in 2 different dorms, and later the nursery and guest room windows in several of my later homes. As a gift from my parents one Christmas, she helped me purchase fabric and make a set of living room draperies for their new to them home when they moved from the Stanfield Ranch into Hermiston. When summer arrived and there were no prospects for a badly needed summer job in Hermiston, she and Eldon invited me to stay with them and apply for a job at the Birdseye plant just up the street from them. For the next 3 summers, I lived in the basement guest room and in Grandma's house one summer when she was away, and walked to work at Birdseye's and progressed from junior to senior payroll clerk, making the extra money I would need each year for books and miscellaneous for the next school year. Although jobs on the line paid more, I chose the payroll office job because it could be done sitting down, and the office was the only place in the building with air conditioning. Also during those years, I learned to cook in exchange for my room and board, and Eldon put ketchup on nearly everything I fixed that first year. But slowly, with their guidance, I became proficient at putting a well-rounded meal on the table, as well as helping make beautiful draperies, learned the value of hard work, and to be fiscally responsible. I had to pinch pennies, and Lois swore I could milk a dime. After graduation, I moved to Boise to take an internship at the State Department of Health, and Lois and Eldon continued to provide a home connection. When Pete, whom I'd met and dated in college, called in January 1967 to ask me to marry him and fly to Pensacola, Florida, where he was completing naval officer training, it was Lois who knew where to find the fabric store with the wedding fabrics and helped me pick out the fabric, and we made my 1960s lace cage over satin sheath mini dress on her sewing machine. Then we packed it along with the veil we had made and my few other possessions, and the life lessons on making a loving and lifelong marriage, family, and home that I had learned while living and working with her, and she drove me to the Boise airport and waved me off to a new life to be discovered. A few years later, in 1979 or 80, Pete and I were able to share some of that adventurous new life with Lois and Eldon. We were living in Hong Kong, now China, but then it was a British Crown colony, where Pete was the assistant naval attaché at the American consulate, and we were living the rather dashing life of being a somewhat big fish in a small pond with our Royal Navy, British Army, U.S., French, and Australian military friends. That year, Lois and Eldon took an overseas cruise or trip with stops in Thailand or Indonesia to see Gladys and Daryl, and to Hong Kong for a few days with us. We persuaded them to extend their trip for several additional days so we could take them to 2 HMS Tamar. That was the name of the naval base, the Royal Navy base, the officers' mess club parties to meet our friends. These parties were always great fun, and the first one was a lovely tour around the island aboard the Hong Kong ferry with dinner and dancing. But it was the second one that promised to be more zany than usual. The mess party committee had rented out a Hong Kong double-decker city bus, and as the city transportation rush hour waned and the city night lights came on, we boarded the bus with 40 or so of our friends. Even before the bus started its slow ramble down the main thoroughfare through the Wan Chai, Causeway Bay, and back to Central, the plastic cups were filled with gin and tonic, and the drinking and singing of pub songs began. We didn't know the words to most of those songs, but Lois and Eldon joined us as we loudly sang out the choruses, and as the evening wore on, glasses of gin and tonic were handed out the windows to the surprise and delight of travelers on passing buses, while someone admonished us in rather clipped British phrases to stop giving the booze away. Dinner was a quick stop at a new McDonald's or Burger King that had recently opened, where bags of sandwiches and fries were brought on board for everyone. We stumbled back to our high-rise flat, much later, still giggling and laughing about the fun we'd had and the truly otherworldly experience that Lois and Eldon had enjoyed. There may be a few photos in Lois's or my photo albums from that visit, and someone recently posted one on Facebook of Lois and I carrying Casey, our new son who was born there, on one of our adventurous outings, but I don't think there are any of that party night, which is probably just as well. Although we saw much less of one another during the subsequent years as they grew older and Eldon passed away and we moved about with jobs and family, Lois and I kept in touch each year with Christmas cards and newsy letters of our lives and our families until just the last few years when I continued to send cards and letters, but Lois was unable to reply. I missed hearing from her, but I knew that somewhere in the recesses of her mind were memories of the times we had shared, and in my life and family, the life lessons of her love, wisdom, hospitality, and generosity of heart live on. Thank you.